chicken.com is officially serving chicken.
Well, good evening, everyone. The Manassas Park Economic Development Authority for September 21st, 2022 is now called to order. Madam Secretary, do we have a quorum?
Yes, we do.
Okay, very good. Members of the EDA, by consensus, do we approve the agenda?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Madam Secretary, with the exception of item number 4, we'd like, by consensus, we are approving the agenda. Okay, thank you very much. All right. Madam Secretary, do we have anyone scheduled for citizen time?
No.
Okay, very good. Next item on the agenda is a review of old business, the future of Manassas Park EDA, potential mission statement and goals, done by the Economic Development Coordinator. Lamar, you have the floor whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Good evening, EDA members, city staff, residents watching. I would like to say thank you so much for your time tonight and welcome to the first EDA meeting in our new chambers. It's a wonderful opportunity and I'm so happy to be here with all of you today. I will not try to go too long. Really just an opportunity to go back over some of the things that we've gone over the past meetings, hoping that we can get closer to actually deciding which measures we would actually like to take as an authority and actually use going forward in regards for building the structure of the organization and also how we market ourselves in and outside the region. Thank you, sir. Is this better?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
So to go ahead and start, yes, sir. Oh, hold on, okay. So to go ahead and begin, we'll start with the future of the Manassas Park EDA, again, potential mission statement and goals. So we have collectively gone over and reviewed the potential mission statement and have whittled it down to the Manassas Park EDA. It's dedicated to enhancing Manassas Park's competitive economic vitality and using this as a strong, complete mission statement. As we review this from previous meetings, are we decided or does anyone feel that there may be an additional change to this? If we would, or if we are in a position, I would love to maybe make a motion that we would actually vote to accept this going forward as the original mission statement of the Manassas Park EDA.
Is there a motion on the floor to adopt the mission statement as written for the Manassas Park EDA?
I so move. Actually, I have one question.
Okay.
Could you pull your mic so I can hear you?
Oh, I'm sorry. I did have one question. It says competitive economic vitality. What does it mean? So it feels a little bit out of place when it says competitive economic vitality to me. Is it, or should it just be economic vitality? Is there do you see a difference there? I don't remember if we discussed that last time.
Is it competitive against surrounding markets?
Well, if you remember, based on the original statement, it was suggested that competitive was added.
Oh, it was?
So I myself thought it was, a good addition.
Okay.
And so it's just in regards of Manassas Park economic vitality in regards to its competition in the region and outside the region. That is how I took it to mean based off the addition as it was, mentioned.
Michael brings up a good point. Does the word competitive, and I'm asking the EDA members, does the word competitive add, I mean, assuming we did add it, but does it meaningfully add to the mission statement as written? Let's say we dropped it. Does it meaningfully add to say Manassas Park EDA is dedicated to enhancing Manassas Park's economic vitality. Does it add meaningfully or does it not? Actually, Michael brings up a good point. Does it?
I think mission statement should be clear and concise. So I think it actually is more concise without it, but if there's a particular meaning behind it, then maybe it's okay.
To your point, I believe that it would be fine without it, but at the same time, I can understand that for some people, that extra word gives them an extra added layer of, depth. So again, I am fine either or, because again, the point and the focus is the economic vitality of Manassas Park. We are going to work to be competitive, so, we can absolutely say less. At the same time, if someone were to come from outside the area where they are using more flourish and more grandeur, they may, not see the value in such a simple statement. Again, I defer to you, the members, because, again, I believe in your best judgment.
I can see value in deleting it, right? Because whether we're going to be competitive or whether we're going to establish our own standard of what we are trying to achieve, it speaks for itself.
Simple's better.
Simple's better?
Yes. So we can keep it broad, actually. So we-
Without the word competitive?
Without the word
Without.
competitive.
Yeah. Laura, what do you think?
It's fine.
Either way?
Either way is fine
Okay.
with me.
I think that, I think our current consensus is to go without the word competitive.
Absolutely.
Last meeting.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Why don't we vote on it then?
Yeah, all right, so then let's do that. That's actually a great idea, Len.
Yeah.
So is there a motion on the floor to adopt the Manassas Park EDA mission statement as written, but without the word competitive?
So move.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. No opposed? Okay. So the motion is carried. The Manassas Park EDA now has a mission statement.
And saved. All right, so moving on to the next, sorry, I will allow myself to make a quick note. So the next item up are the action items that we had included in our EDA strategy. And again, this is an opportunity I'm hoping to again review them and to figure if we would like to remove any of the ones that we currently have listed, or if we want to add or tweak. I turn the floor over to you, the board members, if you have any questions about what we initially started with, or if you have any suggestions for changes. For the people at home, I will just go ahead and read through the items because they may not be looking at this. So these action items include, but are not limited to, job creation, and that is specifically referencing better career pathways for our youth. The second action item would be maximize the utilization of Manassas Park's real estate. The third, foster business capital investment and support minority and small businesses. Fourth, increase revenue by growing the tax base. Fifth, focus on efforts to build on the strengths and the needs of our city, to include families, neighborhoods, and stakeholders. And finally, promoting tourism. I think each of these are very good by themselves. I think they are better in combination. But again, I hope to turn to you and your expertise to see if we feel that it is enough, or is it too much?
If I can kick off the discussion, I think that the caveat at the beginning is actually a very important one. Actions included but are not limited to, and then the list, which allows us the flexibility to be able to adopt a certain set of actions going forward, to be the basis of what we're doing going forward, but also gives us the freedom to be able to revisit this list and add to or delete as needed. So I think that the list, I mean, at least my own personal, and I'll defer to my fellow directors, the list as presented, I think, is fine as a starting point.
Thank you.
I agree.
I agree.
Yes, I agree as
Yep.
well.
Okay.
So then I would like to present to the board an option to, again, make a vote that we adopt these as the Manassas Park EDA strategies for the moment.
Okay. Is there a motion to adopt the EDA strategy as written?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None opposed. The motion carries. The EDA strategy as written.
All right, thank you. So once we move into the next process, we were looking at potential goals. So in regards of the goals, it's basically how we are looking to, number one, start off by establishing ourselves as a presence within the city, but then also working to build into a larger position, hopefully as a partner with the city in different development and programs that may benefit our residents and our businesses. To go over these actions as far as potential goals. So some of those actions the EDA could be involved in would include, number one, being a partner in city economic development activities. Number two, site selection for large or small businesses. Number three, land acquisition, which is buy, sell, and lease land for economic development purposes. Number four, marketing plans. Number five, tourism. Number six, business retention, expansion, attraction, creation, and relocation, as well as financing resources, if available, of course. Number seven, referral source for business startup assistance. And number eight, technical assistance and resources to residential, commercial, and industrial interests to promote health, safety, welfare, economic development, and redevelopment. And in this matter, we were referring to partnering with local institutions like George Mason and Northern Virginia College in regards to do those. Again, I turn this over to the board, again, for acceptance and a vote on this.
I think, again, again, I'll defer to my fellow directors. The list it's a good list. And I think, in my mind, I would want, on our behalf, I would want, the flexibility to be able to revisit as needed, right? Similar to the previous where it says, actions are, might include, right, but are not limited to. I see this very similarly because, times change, goals change, things like that. And so maybe, maybe modifying the language, up front. I mean, I don't know. It's the way it's written is, it seems kind of open to me.
I am absolutely on board with adjusting the language to be the same as the previous.
Goals include, but are not limited to, right?
Right.
That way we can be involved in these things, or not, if as the need may arise. It just gives us the flexibility to be able to act. We're not limited in our scope if we're needed for something, right?
Absolutely.
If we need to act on something, but it's not, say, within this charter. It's sort of like those of us who understand government contracting SOWs. This is the and other duties as assigned right?
Yes.
clause, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah. So would you like us to take a motion to adopt with the caveat?
Yes, with the recent change to the, I apologize, I thought that was still showing.
Thank you.
So it does say I'm connected, but I'm not seeing this behind me. But I have changed the initial line to say that goals include, but are not limited to.
Okay.
I apologize.
I'd say potential goals, because that's the title of the
Presentation,
chart.
thank you. Yes. Thank you, Keith. And so, yes, with this adjustment here, again, I would like to submit this to the board for a vote of acceptance.
Len, you were saying?
Yeah, the title is potential goals, so it's a minor thing. Potential goals include, but are not limited to.
We could have them remove the word potential,
Either way, yeah.
right? That way it's goals,
And just be consistent, that's all.
but with the caveat that, yep.
So we're going to remove the potential out of the title.
Yeah.
It's assumed. Yeah, it's assumed. I think it would be assumed, yeah.
Okay.
It's no longer showing if you thought it was.
No, yeah, Keith showed me what I needed to do.
There you go.
When I edited it, it doesn't show, but then I put it back in presentation and we're back.
All right, very good. So is there a motion on the floor then to adopt the goals as written?
So moved?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed? The motion carries. The EDA has adopted a set of goals as written.
All right.
The next item of business is the Manassas Park EDA focus for fiscal year 2023.
Yes, sir, Mr.
Economic
Chairman.
Developer?
Thank you. So again, I had originally brought to you a listing of items that I had wanted to focus on as far as things that I thought we would want to initiate that were easy, low-hanging fruit in regards of economic development for the city as we continue to grow. The first things that I really wanted to focus on were our organizational aspects. Knowing that while the EDA has been a part of working with the city, I definitely want to make certain that, again, as we work to become more of that structured organization, that as we turn over new members and, bring on new employees, that we're all on the same path. So as we've just gone over, we've been working on the organizational aspects as far as the mission statement, the EDA strategy, and the potential goals. So currently, we have social media, standalone website, and again, that's just information available on the site, a business directory, an employment registry, and then also events, most specifically regarding to business development and small business resources. So as we had talked over the different meetings, we had kind of changed these around from how I had originally just put them up there, and we kind of ranked them. And so now that after our meetings, this is where we've landed last. And I would like to, again, make certain that we are still feeling the same way, that these aspects still rank in the same order of importance as, in regards to building up the EDA for the city. I should also point out that the item in the gold, the business directory and business registry, those are two things that I'm currently working on now already. So once or should we decide to actually adopt that, that's something that, we can easily just transition over. This information as well, Manassas Park Business Information Infographics, again, information that I'm planning to collect as a whole. So again, it's just going to be readily available. And I'm thinking that as we look at that, that would be the largest aspect of this number 4. With number 1, I feel we've already done that. With number 2, it's just a matter of now how do we transition what we have here into something that our residents can see, that potential businesses can see, that our current businesses can see. And aside from jumping straight to a website, I believe that by starting off with social media, that we'd be able to use a free option that allows us to use cell phones, computers, and it can actually be something that multiple people can actually work on. So it doesn't have to be just one person contributing to this information. The way I would like to imagine is that whatever is posted on one is posted on the other 2 as well.
Yes.
But it's the matter of that each one has a specific audience. So while what may be put on there, the message may be tweaked slightly depending on the intended audience. So for an example, I would say potential businesses and things of that nature would definitely be things that we want to put on, promoting our businesses, promoting what we're doing in the city. But then in regards of, if we're looking for businesses, this could be the way that we utilize LinkedIn. In regards for Facebook, I would think that'd be more in the regards of actual events. So, when we did the library grand opening, if you members had came out, we would have done that photo op. That would have been put on Facebook, but it also would have been put on Twitter. Like I would have, hey, let's all, post to Twitter right now while we're here. And so this is a matter of these are things that we can do individually in order to help put out the hashtag Manassas part. This is something that, again, if you tell me what you'd like to have on there, I can absolutely go ahead and put it up. I would not mind at all, being under direction, again, if we just created a subcommittee to basically monitor and decide what we want to put on there. As I create the content, I can, provide it to the subcommittee throughout the week. They can basically give me the approval, yes, this is okay, and things of that nature. And we can actually go ahead and start creating that general engine pool in regards of letting people know that we have this site, letting people start coming to it, letting people start sharing what we're posting on it. And then as we go ahead and build up these brands, then we go ahead and transition into an actual website where we're actually able to connect all of them.
Number 5, 5, employment registry. Can you explain to me why the focus is on non-city jobs rather than all jobs in the city? And also, challenges employees face.
Yes.
Where are we coming from on the challenges employees face? And go ahead.
So non-city jobs, it would also include city jobs. But I just put non-city jobs to also emphasize that it would not only,
Some do it
yeah,
legally.
yes, I'm automatically going to put, if anybody tells me we're hiring in a city, I'm going to share it.
Okay.
So, but these is also in regards for when we look at where our residents are working, where they're traveling to work, it's that matter of I want them to work here, but if they can't work here, how can I go ahead and get them to a place where they can work? If there's a place in Fairfax that's offering a bus service for people that they're bringing to work, and that's something that could help our residents, that's something that I would want to put out there. And that's kind of, the challenges employees face, for an example. If you're having transportation issues, let me figure out a way to help you basically get over that hurdle. If, for an example, we have a Hispanic resident that comes in from another country, and maybe English isn't that great, their English language skills are not that great, or their writing skills aren't that great. It could be a way that by just putting out that we have a program that, again, not saying we do, but if we did or we do, or we have a partnership with someone that does offer those skills that can help our residents fill out a better application, go to an interview and have better interview skills. So that's what I'm looking to put out there. It's just 2 examples.
It just seems a little open-ended, that challenges employees. Is this a gripe page? I don't think that's the intent. And I think what you're talking about is how to enable people who have who have challenges trying to work here in the city, as opposed to people who have challenges trying to work outside the city. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, the whole nature of the challenges would.
I understand your point. I am looking to have all of our residents in the city working. I would prefer them work in the city. But if we don't have a job for them, then I would still like them to be able to be employed so that way they can spend that money here in the city. I understand. It's just a thought. But again, it's something that we can easily change.
What about jobs local to Manassas Park?
Yes, that
Something, I think, looking at that, it's confusing and it's hard to tell what the intent is.
So for an example, this would be an example. So if there's a job in Manassas, for an example, Micron's hiring. And they say, hey, we're looking for so many people in this, that, and the third. I see no reason why I would not want to put that onto our site to let our residents be able to know that Micron's hiring.
So maybe it's local to Manassas Park and vicinity.
Excuse me?
And vicinity.
As far out as I can get somebody there. So I would say if an Alexandria job posted that was on the metro, then yes, that's absolutely something that I think I could post, because there's a transportation way. If a job pops up in NASA, but there's no way that that person can get, even if they have the skills, but it's just all these other factors. Yeah, I mean, it has to be that perfect storm where if we can't get you employed here in the city, then we're going to try to go ahead and at least, let you know about opportunities where you can go ahead and get to that job from our city.
So this is residents being employed in the city, or residents seeking employment outside the city, or people outside the city seeking employment inside the city have challenges. Is that what we're talking about, those three classes? Residents seeking, or having challenges obtaining or working within the city, residents of the city working outside the city, that's what it sounded like you were saying, and then non-residents who want to work in the city.
For an example, if we were,
Types of challenges.
if we, again, for an example, we have a police or a school teacher position available, and it's been on, posted for 2-3 months, and we haven't, gotten any response, and I happen to find out about it, yes, absolutely. And it's not that I'm, again, promoting that I bring other people to work the jobs in our city. Again, I want to try to take care of our residents first. But I also realize that there's jobs in our city that some of our residents can't work. So we need to figure that out. I also realize that there's jobs that our residents are truly trained and skilled for, maybe 5 miles away, 10 miles away, but they just don't know about it.
Yeah, that's the one that bothers me the most, is a resident seeking employment outside the city. I'm not sure what the EDA's job would be in getting them, other than to keep them employed and paying taxes, I guess. But
I figure just
We're
being,
not
you're
gonna
an
be
information source. So I think that's
Okay.
the side of that is being an information source. As an EDA, we want to look at economic development, not as just the projects, but actually the people. And part of us building better communities is building better people. We can't control the school system. We can't go in and teach every day ourselves and make sure that they're learning the right things. But I feel like what we can do is make certain that they have access to knowledge and information that can help them. Even if it's, again, not with us, but if we are, again, if we're able to share that knowledge, I don't see the harm.
I just don't see it becoming like an employment agency type of thing.
Okay.
I
So
mean,
we can change it.
for people coming from the city going outside the city. Employment, yeah, in the city makes sense. I'm a little bit conflicted on it. Okay.
What about just local job opportunities? I think this has become more complex than it needs to be. It could be something very simple.
Yeah, I mean, again, we could go ahead and say that if there's a job that's available within, I don't know, 20 miles of Manassas Park, then it could go on that, job board.
Right. So,
Or again, to your point, we could set up certain criteria where if it meets these criteria, then, we'll share it with our residents. I mean, we can make this as easy or as difficult as we'd like, but I think that the hardest part is just like to Lynn's point, where do we want to stand right now? Are we looking again to only try to bring in people to fill our jobs from inside our city and outside of other areas? Are we going to focus on our residents that live in our city and cannot get jobs in the city, so they have to go outside the area? Or, and then the third category, the people that are unemployed, but we have jobs here in the city and they may go ahead and come, apply.
Yeah, it could
So-
work where residents seeking opportunities register. This is what I'd like to be working on, and have people come and say, here's opportunities, either in the city or whatever. Whatever. That's a tough one for me. I'm gonna let it go. I'm not gonna hold it up for that.
Yeah, I mean, as part of the strategy, right, one of our strategies is to increase revenue by growing the tax base, right? And so all of the things that you mentioned strategically would increase our tax base.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, keeping people employed, you're right.
Yes, so if we look at it from that perspective, maybe it just needs to be tweaked where it's not, confusing, right? But it provides us with that strategy.
If I can attempt to summarize, maybe just for our collective benefit, because I'm a little slow on the uptake. Perhaps for the employment registry, which I would assume would probably go on our website or perhaps as an extension of our social media presence or something like that.
Yes.
Perhaps the bullets are local jobs, so, and we pick a radius, right, 20, 25 miles, local jobs to Manassas Park. And we draw a circle, and in that circle are jobs in Manassas Park, right? So anything within 25 miles, we put that criteria into Indeed or wherever we're sourcing those jobs from. And so that's bullet number one. And then bullet number two is basically resources for residents. Now, it's going to be out there, right? So if other non-residents use it, okay, right? But that's the price of it being out on the internet, right? So, but resources for Manassas Park residents in their job journey, right? And that, I think, that's, because Len, to honor your point, what's the job of the EDA in this, right? And that's, I could see it as an information source. That doesn't, I think that's probably not, in my mind, my very, very simple mind, that doesn't seem complicated. That, I think, is probably
While you're
a
talking-
non-complicated way
While
of
you're
approaching
talking,
it.
I had sort of a model. I remember at the Shoppers Food, they used to have a bulletin board. People would post stuff up there, looking for a job in this area. Somebody say, looking for somebody to fill this job. And almost like that, like a bulletin board, people could post job opportunities or seeking employment kind of things for people and residents in the city seeking employment. Of course, filtered by somebody to make sure we don't get bogus stuff posted.
Right.
But something like that would make sense. Because people say, oh, yeah, I have a need for somebody to take that job, regardless of where they're located. And it'd probably be people local
Yeah.
would be posting job opportunities, and people live here posting.
That would fill what you suggested in terms of resources. That would be an example of a resource. So maybe that's on that second bullet, that's the kind of language
Right.
that we might need. Oh, okay, he's already
And,
put it up
and we want to remove the challenges employees face
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
and count that under resources for residents.
Yes.
Yes.
That's beautiful.
I think it's kind of assumed, right? The resources are just that. They are the gap filler. Because, wherever we are in our job journey, we all have a challenge, right? Whether it's, I don't know enough people, or I don't make enough money, or I don't like the job that I'm in, there's a resource for that. And I think that the resource is inherently the job, right? Is to fill that gap, whatever that gap is, so.
Yes, school resource what do you call them? The people who help the kids find jobs when they get out of school or whatever, going to the next thing. There's all kinds of resources like that. Human resources here too. I don't know if part of the social services helps people find jobs and stuff like that. I don't know. But
Yeah, it's good.
even posting what is available.
So, Mr. Economic Development Coordinator, I
Yes,
have
sir.
a question for you. In your mind, in terms of the mission that we've adopted, the strategy that we've adopted, which of these do you think, let me ask it this way, is the rank of importance still, in your mind, what it should be, or is there something that kind of rises to the surface as something of perhaps greater importance? That's true, maybe closer to the mission statement and strategy and things like that. Is the next priority, and I'm asking this of my fellow directors as well, is social media the next logical step in this whole thing? But your thoughts?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the reason why is because that is what our youth and a lot of our residents are on. I mean, when I was in high school, there was no internet. I read books, encyclopedias, I touched pages, Dewey Decimal System. We don't have that society anymore. Right. We have to think for people years before they realize that they need what we're giving them. So social media is it because, number one, not only does it allow us to get the message out to as many people as inexpensively as possible, but it can also be translated on their phones into their native language. And not only that, the voucher program alone has shown me, and I hope the rest of the city, that most of our residents interact with social media. When something gets posted on a website, on Facebook, like they're sharing it, people are talking about it. So yes, because we are, trying to hold on to our dollars right now, and we're trying to make sure that we have good bones, yes, this is something that can absolutely be managed, again, with no cost, with very minimal effort, and just a few nice pictures and few quips, every, maybe 2 to 3 times a week, just to make sure that people understand we're here and they understand what we're doing. Now, once they understand what we're doing on the actual online social media aspect, then they're going to want to start trying to find out more information about us. Well, that's where the website comes in. And then once they start going onto the website, that's where they start finding these things. And then once we actually have gotten to the point where we have a website and we have all of these things, by that time, I have located places in the city where I can do different events. And so, yes, I believe this is the natural progression that we would want to follow right now. I'm sorry, I keep standing in front of this.
No, you're good. You're good. You're good. Do we have any questions from my fellow directors on this slide in terms of ranks of importance, or rather the priorities of action for economic development?
Yeah, I don't have
I'm
any
good.
thinking about the social media aspect and just, what I do or the people I communicate with. It's social media, you can't get around it. That has to be the.
Yeah. It gets to the point that even the bank has the mobile app on your phone, so you to deposit checks, so you don't come into the bank. And so again, as social media brings us together, it also separates us as well. So we have to make sure that the message that we're putting out is community, community, community. We care about you, we love you, we want you, we care about what you're doing, come check us out.
Okay.
The other thing I might want to just throw out, as I look at this, I see this as being something that, again, over the process, maybe 90 days, that we went ahead and were able to go ahead and get this done. In the next 6 months, I believe that social media on all 3 platforms could be achieved and accomplished. I believe in 1 year to maybe 18 months from now, we could actually work to have a website up and running. I do believe, again, in 18 months to 24 months, I will have a complete registry for the city, every business in the city, as well as having gotten the different platforms in order to help us, that'll shoot me jobs that I can go ahead and use to fill up the website, as well as different businesses, training centers, and schools that also have different resources that'll also say, well, yeah, sure, tell your residents about this program. So I believe all of that would happen, and this is my, right now, I want to say 2-year, maybe 3-year, because there's a part of me that wants to hold, these things here in this building. And so I want to have the plaza up and nice and really, really looking nice, so we can bring down, 500, 1,000 businessmen and women to talk about maybe economic development or to talk about workforce development or things of that nature. And we're actually the host. So that way, not only are we allowing people to see what's going on in our city, we actually allow them to partake. It's a great way for also some of the other goals we have in regards for business retention, business expansion, attraction, and relocation.
I think what I like about the way that you've laid this out is you're building a logical infrastructure that builds on the previous step.
Yes.
So I like the intentionality of this.
What it is, so I looked at this from a straight marketing plan. Now, not economic development, but we have to build the brand. We have to create the brand, and we got to build the brand. Then we got to create the buzz around the brands. Then we got to give something for the people that actually care and invest in the brand, something to feed off of, to follow with and engage in. And then from there, it's the matter of they have access to all this information. They can go ahead and say, oh, there's a job fair coming up. Yeah, let me sign up for that. We give them things to actually do. And it gets to the point where, again, as we change their mindset about their abilities and their skill levels, they start, reaching and trying to apply for a higher job, higher paying jobs, higher skilled jobs. Because we've told them to believe in yourself. We're going to give you all the tools for you to be successful.
So in regards to the social media, you're seeking, or you're looking at 6 months? To get that
Yes,
going?
yes, I believe that from today, we got those 3 items finalized. Now that I can check that off the box, the next focus, I would say, yeah, give me a good 6 months. And I don't even need 6 months, to be honest. I'm taking 6 months to make sure that I'm doing it right and making certain that I'm connecting, because I'm sure we all know it's an algorithm. Social media platform, it's all about the algorithm. So in order to attract the right people, we got to follow the right people, friend the right people in order to get that buzz going. So that's why I say 6 months. Maybe 2-3 months to actually get how the platform is ready, created, and looking amazing. And then another 4 months for the traffic to actually start coming in, and the reshares and the likes and the loves.
And that was going to be my follow-up question, is when are you going to provide sort of like a format or graphics of sample page, or what, what?
So we're actually going to be becoming on that, and one more quick, a few more slides. We're actually going to come to that. Actually, would you like to consider this for another meeting, or would you like to vote on this with the adjustments on the employment registry bullet point?
I think, I mean, in my mind, I think we can vote on it. I like, again, always like flexibility, right?
Yes. Yes.
So I think, my thinking going into this is, as long as we all assume that this is, again, it can adjust.
Right.
Right? It's a very good framework, to start with. But as long as we have a common understanding that this is, these are, and priorities change, right? That's
Yes.
the nature of that. So I'm happy to put it to a vote, at least now, and if we need to adjust later, we can.
I would like to point out that, so the first two, the mission statement and the EDA strategy, those would be in what I would consider, like the Constitution, a living document. Can always adjust it. These are more, like I said, focuses for me in regards of work that I need to do. And absolutely, like you said, if you want me to focus on something different or change it, you can absolutely change it at any time. Again, I am here to do whatever we need to do, however you want me to do it.
Yeah. All right. Do we have a motion on the floor to adopt the economic development priorities as presented?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed? The motion carries for economic development priorities. The next item on the agenda is website and social media capabilities. Mr. Economic Development Coordinator, you have the floor.
One thing,
Oh, sir.
can we have a proposal on some of those down the road as we go along, how those are gonna be developed and how they're gonna be implemented?
Yes, absolutely. For every step that I plan to take, I want to bring it back to you for your guidance, your approval, and then I move on to the next step.
Cool.
And of course, so for an example, when I come back with the LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, I'm gonna, have some images that I'm planning to have as our stock page. I'm gonna have some examples of posts that I would like to make and things of that nature, so you can get an idea of that feel. And then if you approve that, then we go ahead and do that. And then,
I think the first three are done for now. The first three on that list, I think.
Yes.
We did them tonight.
yes, they are. And like I said, because I think that the social media is going to be a very quick turnaround, and that's why I did want to bring the focus to the website. So with the website, I think there's two ways that we could look at this. And one is, and I'm going to not even go over the top part because, we've gone over this a few times, but I'm looking at this as a phased approach, with this being phase number 1, with the primary purpose of the City of Manassas Park Economic Development Authority webpage would be to function as a first stop for business development assistance, including site selection for large or small businesses, business expansion and relocation financing resources, and referral source for business startup assistance. And again, based on what we were speaking about previously in regards for the order of importance of what we're looking at and what we want to do, we can tweak or change that. But the first part is really what I'm looking for, and that's a first stop for business development assistance. That's really what I'm hoping we can start off with for that website. So when people are following all this other stuff, that when they first look onto it, they're going to see about us as an organization. They're going to see a little bit about each of you, and then these are the first three things that I'm hoping that we can go ahead and put up there for people that check us out. Part of that is going to be using the business directory and information that we have on there, and again, updating sites as I get them. Again, we have available buildings. That would something be on there as well, things of that nature.
Those look like funding lines there. I say those look like funding lines.
I'm sorry, are you saying?
Business expansion, relocation, financing resources. So we're gonna be involved in financing business expansions. We're gonna be involved in business startup assistance. I assume that's gonna be money.
So I put business expansion and relocation financing resources. So for an example, that's just a very long way for me to say tenant improvement. For an example.
Tenant improvement.
Yes, sir.
People fill the buildings over there.
In the Park Central area.
Okay.
So like I said, I would have just put tenant improvement, but this is, I think, a better explanation of what a tenant improvement is, which is a way, again, if we're going to help a business expand into our area, then that would be how that would fall under there.
But it doesn't imply funding. But funding is gonna be involved in this. Because I see resources, I always think people and dollars, as well as help or assistance.
Okay.
Well, is that the plan? That we're gonna pot of money to do this? Because I'm not an MBA.
Well, that's not the plan, and again, that is how it is. That is not how this is intended
Oh,
to be
okay.
interpreted, though.
Okay.
Would it be better stated as maybe business expansion and relocation resources, not financing
Yeah.
resources?
Absolutely.
Because it seems, if I'm understanding you correctly,
Or assistance.
Lamar, it's, what you're saying is that we're able to offer you information if you're looking to
But not
expand.
alone.
But not alone,
Right,
right? Or a
exactly.
grant.
Right.
I'd use the word assistance.
But when I hear
Or support,
assistance, I
yeah.
feel like that implies financial assistance.
Financial.
Oh, that's a good point,
Maybe
too.
it's
So
Support
like,
is
the
a better
bottom
word.
one, I would
Non-financial.
remove the word assistance.
Yeah, referral resource for business startup. Yeah.
So
Is
would you prefer
support a better
education?
word?
Would you prefer education,
Yeah.
information, something like that?
Information.
Information
Because,
Or- or
ed-
resources, perhaps.
education means, excuse me, in the way that it's presented, education means I know what I'm talking about, and I'm going to take on your problems, and I'm going to help you. Information means I know something, and I'm going to tell you what I know, or I'm going to connect you to the person that knows it. So that's how I would justify putting startup information as opposed to education, or again, assistance, because again, like you're saying, assistance could mean that
Right.
I'm going to do something, or the city's going to do something. When in reality, I'm going to, so you want to start a business and, you have no money. Okay, well, I'm going to connect you to the Small Business Administration, and have you go ahead and speak to someone there. I need a loan and so on and so forth. Okay, well, Sandy Spring Bank is right across the street, I'm sure you can go talk to someone there. I'm not going to blow them off, but it's that matter of, I'm providing information.
So would it be more simply stated as resources?
I like resources, but again, I don't want to set the wrong expectation.
Does the word resources imply anything more than
Yeah.
just simple information?
Where I work, resources usually means money and people.
Say again, Len, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'd say resources usually translate to money and people.
To money and people.
To money and
Could be,
Ah.
it could be supplies,
Sure. Okay.
I don't
So-
know what
so-
would be the right word there.
Right, so information then is probably, right?
Okay.
I know what you mean, Len, yeah.
So does this look like an appropriate, number one, to emphasize the first stop for business development in regards for, again, site selection, if we have sites that, that we control or that we are able to go ahead and promote? Business expansion and relocation, resources, and again, that's information. And if they qualify in certain instances, then if we have a program, so be it. And then the referral source for business startup information.
But Len, you had there's a little bit of a rub with the word resources, right?
Right,
Because
yeah.
your definition is money and people, right? And I get that. In our context here, so would that also be information?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yep.
Information?
Information is safe.
That definitely manages expectation for sure.
That's what I was thinking. Expectation management's real
Right.
important.
Right.
Yep.
Absolutely.
You thought we meant, wow.
Yeah, that's very direct.
Okay, so this will be the phase one of the website. And so again, this is me taking whatever branding that we've created for the social media sites, translating it over to this aspect, much larger format. And again, this is where we're looking to start deciding, because we're only doing the limited stuff, we can still utilize free options. We can, again, create a simple website that we use in order to adjust this, or even if we were to base off of the city, for the city's economic development page, if we were to add, economic development authority page, if we were to add, it's there as a flash link or as a hyperlink. The phase two. So please, for the moment, please do not focus on these things. I want you to just focus on the top part, which is the second stop. And so, because I kept the same purpose and the same bullet point, which I apologize, these are things that we can add to, but the purpose that I was actually supposed to say here is that it's supposed to be an information source for our residents and for businesses that are actually looking to locate to our city. That's what that was supposed to say, so I apologize. And the reason why we want to maybe include some of these is maybe the strategic plan for the city. Our comprehensive plan is already on the city website, but again, wouldn't hurt to have a link to that. It wouldn't have hurt to have a link to zoning that's on there, a link for the business registry and annual report. These are things that we would be able to just, for the most part, from at some of these, be able to just go ahead and piggyback off from the city already. And we're just, again, re-providing that information. But again, they don't have to go to the city website, try to comb through. First, they got to come over here, then they got to come over here and here. And they just got one splash page that's going to give them direct access to almost all this information. So I would like us to wait on doing anything with this. I would just like us to consider things that we may add on the site in regards to help tell our story, provide information, and that will allow people to know more about us in regards to wanting to do business here and or visit. So coming back here, what I would like to do, if not this meeting, then maybe our next meeting, would actually go ahead and take an opportunity to clean this up or decide if this is how we would really like to start with the phase one, because that allows me to go ahead and create one of the old school outlines to basically create how many pages would we need, how many links from those pages, where do they connect? And once I can create that outline, it'll let me know how big of a site we're looking to do based off what we're trying to do. Like, are we trying to do too much? Is this going to be something that we're going to have to pay for? Do we need to cut it back in order to make it much simpler, in order to continue to use a free platform? Things of that nature. And to your point, like I said, every single step, I want to have all of you involved. But if we would like to table this for the next meeting, we can, because like I said, I definitely want to make certain that as I come back, I can give you some more information to show you in regards to how we're transitioning from social media to the web.
The prior chart had the word tourist on there. What do you envision that being?
Which one here?
Typical tourist? Are these just visitors to the city, local people? Are you envisioning that something's going to be something that's going to attract tourists?
Oh, yes. So the city of Manassas Park already has things that attract tourists. It's the matter of how long they actually stay. What we're looking to do is increase their stay time in the city.
And
So-
just to clarify, when we say tourists of the city, we mean literally anyone who lives outside the city who comes into the city. That's our export market. It's not someone traveling from West Virginia or California visiting. It's literally anyone who lives outside of our cities who's visiting us and pumping dollars into our city because that adds to tax value.
Okay, I got you. That's what I was looking for. What was the vision?
Okay.
Gotcha.
Hopefully, to his point, we'd be able to get to something where we can attract people from out of state, for something. Maybe we have a
Right over here,
festival or
the VLE
something.
station, That'll bring in tourists.
Yeah. I mean, maybe we're part of a train station tour, whatever. Civil War's right around, people travel all the time for the Civil War and, historic stuff. So,
Got one right over there too,
yeah.
for the crypto guys.
So we got a lot of great stuff. And I know initially I showed you 3 examples of the sites that we could possibly take advantage of. One being Fairfax County. And again, when I say take advantage of, I mean as far as inspiration. So again, this is a very advanced economic development page. And again, you can see that they have so much information here. And so some of these, like, yes, we could definitely put our economic advantage up there, a nice narrative. We could absolutely list our major employers, workforce demographics, regular demographics. Yes, absolutely. When we come through, it's the matter of, well, this is something we know we're not going to need, at least not yet. Maybe we can grow into it. So this is where I'm imagining, I'm going to just say 2050. If Manassas Park builds and, continues to benefit from the sprawl that's coming out of DC right now, this might be a site, the city would have in 2050.
Do they still have that special, I forget what it was a couple of years ago, they created this special district that was in the western part of the city for federal contractors or something that would advantage them to bid on federal contracts? Does that
Yeah,
recall that?
it's a hub zone. I want to say that it expired for the city. That doesn't qualify, but there was a business who was taking advantage on the west side. Didn't really have great returns. If we were able to get it extended to the train tracks, then we would have been, I think, in business to track that. But we don't really have a lot of land available on the west for office style development. So, but that's something again that with the latest round of census data, they stripped the city of that designation.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
I apologize. I realized that it was still showing that and not showing when I clicked. So I clicked on the web link. Yes, so I apologize that you were not seeing this as I was talking through it. And I can't see it here. So again, when we come through the particular page here and we see the county of Fairfax, again, we see all these different factors that they have here, again, as far as their drop downs. And like I was saying, these are some of the things that we would some of the things that we would be able to include. But again, as we start to come down, to where, like I said, where we see global companies and things of that nature, that is, it's just going crazy. All right, again, so again, this is an example of something that we don't need, so we'll be able to go ahead and save that web space, as well as key industries. Again, if we were to identify, I would say key businesses or key sectors, but again, not key industries because we don't have that many. So it's a great way to go ahead and take some insight into what we could be.
Lamar, could I ask you to maybe show us Hopewell? I think that was the one that was
Yeah,
kind of the
yes.
small one.
Closer to us.
Because
Yes.
that would be closer to where we are, I think. Thank you, sir.
I'm glad you remember Hopewell. So again, as we go ahead and come back to the city of Hopewell, again, they have a very, very standard page, and I believe that this is something, again, that we can go ahead and work to start with just a very simple home page as far as a meeting schedule, the address of where we're meeting, the board members. Again, we can give a little bit of the terms. This would be where we would have our mission statement, the goals, and things of that nature. When we come to the residents, again, they have, hold on, let's try to keep this mouse to stay right here for a second. So in regards to some of the things that we could utilize here, again, we have a library as well. We have city history. We got city resources. Of course, these could actually be twofold. We could have city resources under residents, but then we could also have city resources under businesses as well. And they basically tie into one page, that's business services. Citizen self-service and census, I mean, we have data that's already on the city site. So again, we can also piggyback off that. So a lot of the initial stuff that we're looking for, schools, stormwater management, parks and rec. Now, volunteer opportunities is something I'm trying to get started, but again, not a focus right now. So just trying to show exactly how we're connecting. We could also use this tab here, excuse me. We could have that as a tie-in to the city page. For the businesses, again, this would just be information as far as, like I said, tenant improvement, things that, programs I might be offering, if we're offering any incentives or anything like that. If we're currently working, if there's RFPs that are going out that the city's already put out, we could also share that over here. Again, don't have to do all of it, but it's an opportunity where we can see kind of where we start. And just to give you a, I'm gonna click on one of these so you can see. Start off with the library. So I want to say this is, I don't remember when they built this. I want to say this is at least 10 years old though. And so this is like right in the middle of their downtown. Again, if anybody ever happens to be in South Central Virginia, I advise you to please go through Hopewell. And when I tell you, if you don't feel and see the same presence that you feel here in Manassas Park, I mean, because it's scary. It really is scary. But again, this is just basically a splash page to the library. So again, it's not like we're creating new stuff. We're just pulling the different resources and attaching them in a way that they can be accessed. Go to careers. And so as we have here, again, other connections that we have to city pages, but then, for an example, state jobs that are located in Hopewell. And so again, that could be a great tab that we could have. If we got state jobs located in Manassas Park, let's go ahead and use that. If there's an opportunity, like I said, it could also say, you know, city jobs in Hopewell, you know, and then it could also go to local with that caveat that these are jobs that are maybe not in Manassas Park, but they're within 25 miles.
I see job interest card on their web page. Job interest card.
So I'm expecting this would, in my mind, I would expect we would use this as if, so our housing coordinator, Yvette Monet, has a form that she uses when people come in that she has them fill out with their information so she can contact them, but also what they're interested in. And so I would actually expect to use that as something like that. This would be a connection to other, excuse me, this is to the government site. This is a connection to the government site here. So basically, you're going to come here and start looking for jobs and creating profiles and things of that nature. But that's also something we could do too. We could have a link to Virginia unemployment website on our website. What else would you like to see? And that's another thing that I also thought about too, going forward. The beautiful part about us right now is that when you apply, it's something that's held inside our city, as opposed to them using this process where all of their jobs are posted through this account here. Like I said, I don't think we want to spend that money to go ahead and participate in that. But again, going forward, if we are able to start bringing in large corporations that are offering great pay and they're hiring, you know, a great amount of people, then that may be something to consider. All right.
This definitely serves as a good model, I think, for, you know, for something to start with, right? That it's a lot more modest, It's not the 2051, like baby
Right.
steps, right?
And again, but like I said, it's very, very simple. I mean, again, when I look at that website, I could do that. Absolutely. In fact, I think I can do much better than that for free. And so it's that matter of, again, is that, how we want to start. Because once we go ahead and get something started, it's easy to upgrade, to buff things out, tweak them, and make them better.
Yeah, I would definitely opt for the more visual appealing.
Sure.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes. And this is just, again, reiterating some of the links that I think that if we were to create the website, some of the links that we would have on there. And again, I can tweak this again to, we were saying local jobs and things of that nature. So outside of that, to Luana's point, outside of the strategy that I've already spoken to, the main question is, well, where do we start? And I'm thinking this is where we start right here. Simple, yet effective. I think it would be a great look on a splash page. It backs up what we have as a city logo and part of the brand.
Is the bottom font, the Economic Development Authority, is it the same as, I don't think it's the same as.
No, it is not.
Tone.
So this is a custom font that they created. So while I have access to the graphics, I haven't reached out to actually try to get the font yet. Again, I was really hoping to just give a mock-up. If this is a good mock-up, and then, again, we tweak it and we scrub it up. If you'd like it to match, then I reach out to Arnett Muldrow and say, hey, I'd like to go ahead and get some more words in this font. I don't know how that happened, but
That'd make a nice key fob.
yes. I think it could also make a great poster somewhere or a sticker
Oh, yeah.
somewhere. So, I mean, aside, I know you said, does the bottom font doesn't match. I mean, but what do we think about the colors? Do we want to just go EDA instead of spelling it out? We have a few different, so the brands we have this one, which is the horizontal, and then we have the vertical one, which will have the tree up over the top. Have many of you seen that version?
Does the vertical one have the words Manassas Park the same size relatively?
It's kind of a square underneath it, yeah.
Okay.
So could go that way. The problem with that one is that it is very stocky and chunky. So as you try to import it into other places, you have to start adjusting it.
Yeah.
As opposed to this one, the linear nature of this allows me to shrink it much easier or crop it as I need to.
I think it's too wordy. I think a logo should be more of a design that catches your eye, that symbolizes what you represent.
So you think a different logo than the city logo?
I like the city logo. What I'm saying is, do you want the city logo and then all of the words next to it?
You mean Manassas Park?
Yeah, Manassas Park, Virginia Economic Development Authority. Because to me, a logo is a symbol representing what you are, something to catch your eye and something you recognize.
Well, so this would be more of what I would call a brand, not a logo.
Okay.
So the tree is the logo. And since we're already using the city's logo, we're just trying to, in my mind, piggyback off their brand. So that's all I was looking to do there. Again, taking out Virginia could definitely help, but at the same time, if you don't know anything about Manassas Park or Virginia, then you don't know where Manassas Park is. But again, I mean, this is just a first iteration. Like I said, I mean, I just threw some things out there. But with your feedback, I can tweak it, scrub it, and, try again.
Maybe a couple of other, maybe for next time,
Yeah.
a couple of options. If we can see it in the intended font, like Economic Development Authority, I would love to see it in the park font, if it's possible.
Okay.
To see if that would work. Or maybe both ways, maybe in the block font and then maybe in the part used as used in Manassas and Virginia. as it's shown, as the word park is.
Would you all want to see also kind of an option to your point of text? Because I agree with you, there's too much text here. Big font, Economic Development Authority to the right, and then below the logo in smaller font, Manassas Park, comma, Virginia. Kind of like a smaller font, just kind of, when they look at the logo, it's kind of part of the logo just below it, but the emphasis is Economic Development Authority, and then you look down there to see what.
That would work.
Because
Switching-
we want
switch
everyone to see the logo and say, oh, that's Manassas Park eventually.
Right.
Right? We want to set our city apart anyway, so that when people see that logo, they know it's our city. But for you all, we want to say Economic Development Authority, so they know specifically what your organization is.
Yes.
Prominent, yes.
Yeah.
And again, just to clarify, so again, essentially switching these.
Well, yeah, so it'd be Economic Development Authority, bigger
Big
font on the
part.
right, and then
And then like
below
right
the
here.
logo, a small Manassas Park, comma, Virginia, right below the logo. So it's almost part of the logo.
Oh, over
Yeah,
here.
yep.
Yeah,
I can dig it.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna save that. I'm gonna tweak that later.
Yeah, yeah. No, thank you for showing this to.
Oh, it's not a problem. It's my pleasure. And so again, this is just, again, trying to get the creative juices flowing. So yes, at the next meeting, I'll go ahead and I'll have a few different mock-ups to go ahead and try to look and see, where we are, what is our branding, and that we're really trying to push out there. The last thing I'm sorry, that is all I have for that, Chairman.
All right, very good. The next item of business is the 2022 COVID-19 Recovery Voucher Program for Manassas Park. Mr. Economic Development Coordinator, you have the floor.
Thank you again, Chairman. So again, this is just a really quick update to the program as we're wrapping it up, and be very, very brief with that. Again, I'm going to go through some of the slides that we've gone through a few different times and really jump right into the numbers. So again, when we're looking at the round three, with the amount of number of restaurants that we had 3 restaurants that actually did not participate in the third round. So we had Preston's that participated for 3 weeks out of the 5. We had El Molino, who did not participate in the third round, and then Shawarminos also did not participate in the third round. Interestingly enough, Shawarminos did not participate, and they actually closed their doors. But then another business came and essentially took over. And what is most interesting out of that is that restaurant started accepting vouchers before they even contacted me. So it was really nice that a new restaurant came in and was so willing to participate in a program that we were working on. And it was great that we were able to go ahead and get them onboarded so we could honor the vouchers that they did receive. So as we're coming through, we were looking at the total of 9,000 total vouchers, and again, distributed out at 3,000, 2,000, and 5,000. And right now, ordered, and then as distributed, 1,979, 2,000, and 500. So again, in the first round, we ordered 3,000. We didn't give them all out. But then in the second and third rounds, we gave out every single voucher that we had. Currently, out of the vouchers redeemed, again, first round, 1,540, and in the second round, 1,686. So currently, I have one more restaurant to finish totaling, but even without that restaurant, we are currently at 52%. The vouchers that we gave out were redeemed. Again, this is just showing, again, the marketing that we use for it, the different colors, as well as showing the points that we were tracking in order to determine if this program was successful or not. So as we come back into the program, we do see that with the total for number 2, round 2, the total amount of vouchers that we distributed and were redeemed by restaurants, so that the total amount was 84%. So this first round was successful. The second round was absolutely amazingly successful. So I expect that with the third round, I'm expecting to maintain in the 84% range. Definitely over 75% right now is what I'm projecting. I did go ahead and have a breakdown, unfortunately. So chicken.com, like I said, $625 worth of vouchers is what they redeemed here, and I apologize that I hadn't added them on here yet. But as we're looking right now, the voucher program is a complete and absolute success in our city. Our residents are asking, are we going to do it again? When can we do it again? The restaurants are interested in trying to do more if we were to go ahead and say we were interested. So I really wanted to let you know that our COVID-19 recovery program, even though it was initially based on getting shots. When we changed it to not having to require that shot, I think that we opened up a lot of doors in regards to our residents being able to take advantage of this amazing program. But yeah, this is just the final numbers in comparison, basically showing the difference from round 1 to round 2, showing that in round 2, we were up $3,650 or approximately 9.5%. This is, again, for each restaurant, again, showing, you know, how they profited. If they're, you know, green, they went up, red, they went down. And just for the most part, you know, we see that it's kind of evenly split, where some restaurants went up, some restaurants went down. You are seeing that, yes. And the last thing I would just go over is just showing you right now, 78% for round 1, 84% for round 2. So like I said, I expect that we are definitely trending in the right way in order for the third round to be successful. And again, once I have everything tallied up, I'll go ahead and just give you the final overview, very short, quick brief of, you know, the successes, failures, and things that we can improve on for next time. Should we do something like this? And that is all I have for you in regards for this presentation here. Were there any questions about the voucher program, kind of any of the numbers I just breezed through, or any information that you were looking for that I didn't touch on?
When will the next round be? The
There
third-
is no more round.
Oh, okay,
We are
sorry.
no mas.
I thought you were talking about a future one, okay.
What was, and like I said, should we not bounce back from COVID like we want to, or monkeypox or whatever causes us as a country to go ahead and start to sequester? If the government decides to give out more funds to help and we're able to maybe utilize those funds in that manner, I think it would be a great idea.
Yeah, so we still have to report back to the governing body the final results, and then if they want to do this going forward, that'll be their discretion. If they want to, you know, shift around ARPA funds to do more of this, or use city money to do more of this, it's going to be up to the governing body. But they're going to want to see the final results, of what we have, and then our recommendations as well, proceeding forward. We may need some of the remaining funds we had for that line item to support another ARPA line item. That's going to be my recommendation when I do brief the governing body. But this was a tremendous success, but the justification for continuing it probably doesn't exist anymore, as our restaurants have really bounced back to pre-pandemic levels when you look at their meals tax dollars. So we'll keep tracking that, but they were looking really strong the last quarter of the fiscal year. So some of the justification may be, and this may have helped in that process, but some of the rationale for doing this is probably not there anymore. But certainly it is a great program that our residents, you know, loved, and that our restaurants love. So it's not a bad standalone program, but using ARPA funding for it may not be warranted. Using city money on an annual basis, if we want to do one round a year, again, that'll be a, you know, governing body decision as kind of a way to juice up local spending. But as of right now, that's not going to be my recommendation. So.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. And thank you, Mr. Economic
Thank you, sir.
Coordinator. You've
And thank
given
you,
us a
rest of
lot
the board.
to chew on. Thank you. Thank you.
So let me save.
The next item on the agenda is the chairman's report, and at this time, I have nothing to report. The next item on the agenda is the director's report. My fellow directors, do any of you have anything to report at this time? Okay. The next item on the agenda is the city manager report. Mr. City Manager,
All
you
right.
have the floor.
Yeah, some important information to update you all on. Cinema Cafe, who, you know, we had asked for you all to be ready to issue a potential EDA loan for them to construct the theater. They are no longer able to construct the theater due to the inflationary impacts. So Norton Scott will be building the theater now, the developer for Phase 3, and they're going to be leasing out to an entity, including Cinema Cafe as an option. They've already presented what their lease options are in terms of costs. So that's the route we're going with now. What that means for the EDA is we're not going to do the EDA loan anymore, because that was to support directly the theater for them constructing the building itself. Now it's going to be a developer. We're going to go a different route that would not require the EDA. We may still apply for the state tourism gap financing to help Norton Scott to get that lease dollar amount down to where it needs to be for theaters right now that are looking to lease. Just from kind of a national perspective, theaters are not building right now. They're looking to, number one priority is, you know, they want to capture the market of theaters that were shut down replace them with their model. So for example, in Reston Town Center, Bowtie Cinemas is being replaced by Look Cinemas. It's a new up-and-coming theater. They're also talking to the city as well, interested in our establishment. So we have to get our numbers to look like almost like a rehabilitation, if that makes sense, versus a new build. Not to say they're not interested in new builds, there are, but the price has to be right. So we're next week we're meeting with a business in Kansas City, up and coming theater that's back to pre-COVID numbers in terms of sale volume as well. So they're looking to rapidly expand across the country. So there's movement on that piece. Even Regal, who everyone heard is filing for bankruptcy, they're also looking after that process to look to expand. So that's going to be the next step, but it won't involve the EDA. If it does, I'll come back and let you know. But as of right now, it's going to be a separate process, likely just the state tourism gap financing application. If that doesn't work, then another option that we're talking about with the governing body that we were going to utilize to come up with the funds for the state tourism gap financing that we can now partner with Norton Scott as our public-private partnership in order to get that lease numbers down for Building B and Building C, because we want Building C, the building right next door here, to be leased as well. So that's kind of what we're working on. So I wanted to give the EDA an update on what's happening there. So Norton Scott's back in kind of the play for the construction.
So Cinema Cafe is out entirely, or?
No, they're not. Yeah,
They're
it's
not.
like I said, they're interested. They already gave them the lease number for what they would be interested in.
Got it.
Yeah,
So they would
but
be
we have
the
to go
lessee.
shop. What's that?
They would be the lessee to Norton Scott?
No. They gave their lease number to Norton Scott. Norton Scott's going to be in the driver's seat now, who they lease it to, though.
Got it.
And they're going to look for, again, who's giving the best lease number, right? They have to make the number work because they're impacted. Just like Cinema Cafe wasn't able to construct because of inflation, Norton Scott's going to bear that brunt now of building a building. They have to get the right lease number to cover the costs of construction. So, that's where the city's still going to be involved. We have some tools to kind of bring those numbers together. And that's the exercise that we're going to be playing here the next few months but again, now it's wide open now, right? So we're looking at multiple options to make sure we get the best piece here to sign the lease with Norton Scott.
Has,
Go ahead.
has Norton Scott, so they're going to be building the movie theater.
Mm-hmm.
Have they ever built a movie theater before?
No, they've built. They're building another entertainment facility, but they have they built massive projects, but this would be their first movie theater they would construct. But they would be given all the specs for construction by the theater company itself.
Okay.
And luckily the front runner right now, they use the same kind of planning company that Cinema Cafe utilized. So they're just sharing kind of the existing information that's already there. It's a national company as well that does a lot of the design for movie theaters.
Who's
Same.
going to own
And actually, the
that?
design company that Norton Scott utilizes that designed this building and designed the whole downtown, they have designed buildings all across Northern Virginia, theaters as well. So if you've been up to the village of Leesburg, there's a theater there, the Cobb, used to be a Cobb, I don't know what it's called now. They designed that. They designed Loudon Station AMC as well. So they've designed multiple theaters. So their design team, which the construction company builds to the specs, they have designed theaters across Northern Virginia as well.
So is Norton Scott going to maintain ownership of it?
Yeah, they will.
Okay.
Yeah, and they're going to lease, and they'll also lease to the city as well. This building was supposed to be 4 levels here. We're tight on space, so they're going to be building that 4th level that we lost here. They're going to be building it on the theater as part of a 2-level office complex, with 1 level being leased to the city.
And so the question I have is the concept going to be the same as Cinema Cafe, where you have, you would have ushers come in and they would?
It
serve?
depends. The front run right now, yes, it's a dine-in concept. But again, there's another company, a much larger one, that if they're back in play, no, they don't want to do a dine-in concept. They just want to do a theater, which is actually a cheaper build. The dine-in concept's actually more expensive because of the restaurants. But the other model that we're also exploring is incorporating other entertainment components such as bowling and arcades. That's a massive moneymaker right now still, and that can help, again, cushion the business and add additional revenues as well, because they have to make a certain revenue amount to justify the lease payments, the structures that Norton Scott's offering. Yeah. So stay tuned here. The next few months we'll be hopefully making some good announcements here. So, okay. Any other questions? And if I need the EDA, I will be coming back to you all and asking for assistance. So.
Any other questions related to the city manager's report?
Any other building phases coming up that we'd be involved in, or are we going to be on stasis for 2023?
I'll say stay tuned for 2023 because I'm hoping to do some town halls across the city for a couple of major large-scale projects that are in closed session right now. And I don't think they would involve the EDA, but one may. But I'm not sure. So but just, I guess patience right now in 2023. I'm hoping to make some couple big announcements and do town halls across the city because it's going to involve discussions with the community, just like I did for this downtown development. And we'll have to do the same thing again, and probably a lot more of them as well to talk about what's coming. So there are some large projects still on the pipeline that are being considered right now. And if we need EDA's assistance, we'll definitely notify you of that. But the theater's priority right now is still to get that, get the downtown rolling, get the anchor here. But there's other couple of large-scale projects that actually would generate much more money than that. But this is the kind of the heart of our city that we want to be successful.
I did have one quick question.
Mhm.
The restaurants, have they moved into these?
No, they have till April to move in.
Okay.
Yeah, because it was based off of when this building was done. So
Got it.
we moved here the first week of August. That's when the building was available for us to be able to move in. That's what started the 270-day clock. So once the building was ready for them, now they're working on getting their plans in place so they can start the construction for tenant improvements.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you for your questions. Are there any others?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. The final item on the agenda is adjournment. Is there a motion on the floor to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you all.
Good job.
All right. First meeting in the new house.
Yeah, it's good.